Okay, welcome along to this next episode of our 3v3 chats. Today we've got Dan Warrender with us, and we thought we'd bring it outside in the sun, make the most of it for once. So, Dan, how are you doing?
Yeah, good.
So we'll start off just a bit of an introduction to yourself, who you are, what your background is, what your involvement now is with 3v3, how you got involved with 3v3. So, yeah, fire away, over to you.
Right, so first of all, I played football all my life. I was all right. I was an hard worker, but I was a leader with football, and I think I was from being young. I was always someone who was going to be the captain. And I went in at Man City at being 10, 11 years of age, and I'd done about a decade there. Progressed up through the academies, all the levels, and ended up as captain of the reserve team. And I was probably pushing boundaries that no one ever thought I would have done, just for my capabilities. Like I say, I was always a hard worker, but ability and skill level, like you come across millions of great players who have miles more than me, but that hard work and dedication and sort of captain mentality sort of always took me a little bit further on. So I moved on to Blackpool in League One, and we won't go down the road too much. I had an unhappy time there, and I sort of spiralled out of football. I always got told to go into coaching, and I should have done, but as a 20-odd-year-old kid who sort of fell out with football, like, coaching was the last thing on my mind, and coaching young kids was the last thing on my mind. And as you get older, you become a little bit wiser, and my son absolutely changed my life in that regard. So,
and that's what they do, don't they? Yeah, kids give a different perspective on things once you have them. But then, so fast forward, let's say, yeah, your career was not short-lived. Let's say you played for mid-20s, then, didn't you, at least? Decent level. And
I played non-league as well, and like, I absolutely loved it, and I had some of the best times there. Just most of it was spent hungover.
Not a great advert.
Yeah, but like I say, I don't mind saying about my shortcomings, because I think all that now took me to a point where how much I enjoy what I'm doing now.
So fast forward then a few years, George, then your son, he started playing. That's how you then got back involved with coaching, more thrown into it. Oh, you've played before as a dad, right? Yeah, go on.
Yeah. First and foremost, it was a dad, and I said no chance. I'm not getting involved with the coaching. I just want to watch him play football. Is my favourite thing to sort of like do. And then, sure enough, I got involved with the coaching. And now to the point where I absolutely love it. He's like a mirror image of me. He's like if you'd seen me play when I was young, and then, or even when I was old, he just looks like a mini version of me. But he's a lot better on the ball now. But honestly, the comparisons like are ridiculous. But he's all left foot. I was right, but he's a defender through and through, and he's got them same traits, that same captain sort of like mentality and hard working. And I was a bit cautious of that. Because I didn't want him to go through his whole footballing journey and just be that hard-working kid. I wanted him to like express himself and learn and become like something else, and have so many more strings to the bow, which I think all kids should. Too many kids just get pigeonholed, and like how many times we get kids say, "Oh, he's a centre forward," and "Oh, he's a centre half," and they just get pigeonholed. So from taking my son, we were talking about this before, like the timeline of it. I took him when he was sort of 5 years old, and he walked on the pitch and started crying in a training session, and he had to walk back off, and he tried again and he cried. I said, he's too young. I said, he can't play. And I was
just on that then. So, and I've seen it over many years and in coaching. There's not a right age then. There's not, oh, they've got to start playing at this time. Like you say, every kid's different. You know, just in kids we know now, there's chalk and cheese. You know what I mean? Some kids want to play football at 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Some kids at 5 and 6, they're still playing with the dinosaurs.
Absolutely.
And that's all they care about.
Yeah.
And football's all like that, but I'm not that interested really. I'll do it with my mates in school. But we try and force this, oh no, you've got structure now, you've got to go and play, and you've got to be this old, and if you're 10 years old and you've not played, it's like, oh, you passed it, you know, no one's going to take you on. But there's a stat, and I told you the other day, and I've said it a few times, the Premier League uses stat that almost 50% of players who make it pro were in the academy system before they're 10. And that sounds great, but flip that stat the other way around, because it says almost 50%, so it means more than 50% were not in the academy system.
Yeah.
Right? You know, you can use the same stat loads of ways. So yeah, it can look good, but for most kids, and if football's a be-all and end-all, and that's the dream they want to do, you know, if you're not in by 10, I say it's far from over. I say everyone's journey's different, and there's examples. You know, you look at like Joe Cole from years ago. I don't think he played football till he was 11. You know, and,
I absolutely 100% agree. Like there's no set age when you should be playing football. Like I said, I took my kid and he cried, and I said, right, he's not ready, and I walked him off. And I was a single dad at the time, and I spent so much time, me and him, and like I don't play school or dolls or pirates or whatever. Like I play football. Yeah. I play football, so it's kicking the ball backward and forward, and it was just constant me and him kicking the ball to each other. And like as a dad, it was my favourite thing in the world. And I ended up, when I finally did take him, he was under 60s at the back end of the season, and I finally did take him, and he was all right at passing. That was his best thing. He's like running with the ball and stuff. It was like he was streaks behind the others. But just if I'd have took him, 6-12 months early, when everyone's dying to take the kid, all right, get him in football, like it wouldn't have progressed him. It'd just they're ready when they're ready. And I mean, it's super young to take him anyway. So we went in and done indoor football, just drop-in sessions and stuff, and then back end of the season he went to midi lads, and like I say, he was behind the kids. Like he was sort of worked his hardest.
And I was involved, so I know that we talk about that sporting age, and George was on day 1 on them days, and most of them other kids, they weren't that far ahead. They were only like 6 months, down, further. But at that stage of the life, it's a tenth of his life. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's a big difference, and size-wise, and that confidence. So, yeah, you'd say compared like for like, he was behind, but it was only on time. Let's say the other put them more hours in than they really.
Yeah.
So then you got involved then as a dad coach.
Yeah.
For his team.
He progressed rapidly throughout sort of the first season. He started doing dead well, but kids was sort of up one week, down the next week, and he was definitely pushing up through the group. But like I say, it was. I think sometimes you get a bit too caught up in it as a parent. I think at that sort of age, it's like what will be for now. Do like you can start pushing your kids when the time's right.
Yeah.
But
and I know, again, because I've seen it, you didn't try and take him here, there, and everywhere. He did other things. Football was part of his life, but wasn't his life. And that's, so you see some kids, and they're like, this training Monday, another training Tuesday, Wednesday they're doing this, Thursday another training, and you think they're on 7 days a week, some kids.
Well, do you know what? I mean, I don't know what the stat is, but there is a stat to say most elite level athletes, like there's a high percentage, most elite level athletes play other sports to a sort of elite level at that age group until they're about like 14. I wish I did know the stat exactly, to be honest, but
it's in that Michael Jordan film, innit? And someone asked, do you know how many 3 points Michael Jordan scored when he was 13, something like that? And they're like, and they tried guessing 100,000, whatever, and they went, none, he didn't play basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, you know? And it's gameplay, and like, I just bought my son a pair of school shoes that are barefoot, so it's designed for like ankle strength and like basically they have no support, and it just encourages free natural movement, and I just think with kids playing games, that free natural movement and jumping and bouncing and sprinting and whatever, like turning, like just twisting your body, and like I think that's the way all sort of physical conditioning, I think that's where it's going now, with adults, with children, with everything. And I think, you know, getting your kid to play football, you know, 6 times a week, it's not healthy for them at times. Like they need to like balance their bodies with different movements. Do you know what I mean? Not just a football specific movement, because you'll end up with imbalances. But
and injuries. I know we're probably going a bit further ahead now than what we want to, but you know that, when you get see the players who only play one sport, generally they'll get a certain type of injury down the line. Whereas the multi-sport ones, just have that all-round balance. So moving on then, so he's now playing. Lucky enough, then he got picked to go into one of the development centres. You know, that's about the same time he probably started at 3v3. So think back to when you first come 3v3 with your son. Like, what was your perspective of it, and what was his perspective then of it?
Well, so the first football he played was indoor football, just sort of training sessions, no like, not like games based where you go right 5-a-side and stuff like that. It's just more dribbling with each other and you know, 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s, stuff like that. Like I say, it was all indoor football, and he went to Middleton Lads and played, you know, 5-a-side or, you know, actual games. But what brought him on was when I brought him to yourself, he had that sort of passing off me just through learning how to strike a ball from being young, because we was just passing backward and forward. When I brought him to yourself, he didn't have that body movement, that swerve, that nice thing, and some kids just have it naturally, and the best kids at a young age just have the best balance. They're the best kids, bar none. It's the kids who've got the best balance are the best players. And George didn't have it. He was almost like sort of one of them cartoons, like a road runner when they sort of running as fast as they can and they skid on one foot round the corner. That's what they can't stop. They can't change that direction, and all it is just balance. So when I'm bringing him to 3v3, although I didn't know it at the time, it's like it just seemed to be working, where he'd changed that short, sharp direction, and it's obvious that he just enjoyed it. So I obviously kept bringing him, and it's obviously transferred into football, and he was doing well at football, and he went into like City, and he went through a satellite centre to a selects to up to the elites. But when he stepped up to them elites, the biggest difference is the kid's short, sharp change of direction. And he went in, and I didn't think he was doing particularly well in the selects, but he had a good game. So and they've gone, we want to bump him up and see how he does with the elites. So I said, all right. And he went in, and I thought, he's got no chance with these kids. I thought, these are special. And again, it's just a short, sharp change of direction and the balance, and you know, obviously they're good players and they're probably ahead of the time. but it was a case of adapt and overcome. And he played with these kids for a month, and he did just that. He just adapted to their short, sharp movement, and it sort of triggered with me in with a 3v3, where, right, well, in there it's all tight spaces, and it's like in your face, intense, and you've got no rest time, and it's short and sharp. And if you get good at that, you'll be good at kids football. So he went in there and he was doing fantastic, but he still didn't have that sort of sway. And he was going to Friday night 3v3, and the level was beneath where he played, and I thought that's where he needs to train, at 3v3, that sort of level, the maybe his own age group, but a grassroots level, and kids who might have been beginners, who've only just turned up to 3v3 and things like that. So he went in there, and I said, right, and I give him homework, and you done a video on it the other day about the coach at Be Inspired, where he's give the kids homework during games, basically, and just work on this, just constantly work on this, and then over a period of time it all sort of comes together and your team starts winning games. So then that's what I did with George. I was like, right, let's work on this step over, or this dip and this feint, and let's work on, can you roll it with the sole of your boot, and just dead simple stuff. And it'd be one or two little key things each week, and sure enough, 3v3 just brought him on rapidly, and to the point where he was the best at the sessions.
And a lot of that then is, I mean, again, we talk about this all the time, is just that repetition, what you get at 3v3 in a real life situation.
Yeah.
Say, we compare it to doing a one-to-one where you can go and learn the technique, which is fine, but you're beating a mannequin, or you're beating a coach. Like, in a big game, you might only get one or two, you've learnt this skill and you want to do it, but you might only have one or two scenarios in that match where you can do that specific thing. Whereas in 3v3, you're just getting that repetition in the hour session, 20, 30, 40, 50 times.
It's a bugbear of mine with the cones. And I don't want to slag coaches off and people who do it and whatever. I'm sure there's a place for it, but it is a bugbear with me. And like when they're going into 3v3 games, that sort of age group, so you can beat all the cones you want in the world, but you put someone in a game and you've got kids, generally they come steaming at you, and it's that quick decision, and that's what it is. It's decision making. If you're doing things as on a one-to-one basis, or even if you're going one-to-one with another kid in an environment where you say, right, there's the goal, there's your goal, right, one-on-one, go at each other, right, you're learning one sort of passage of play, because you can't fake that pass over there because there's no one to fake it to. Do you know what I mean? So you do need other situations going on the pitch, and that, but you can go and pinch that ball as two other people are tackling and pinch it and run through, or you can go and fake that pass and come the other way. Like, you can't replicate that with cones and literal one-on-one, because it's only one pattern. So in 3v3, I was doing stuff with George and I thought, he's not getting it, and then once he went to the 3v3 and it's game situation, just sort of just started learning and picking them things up about using other people as a disguise, and knowing where the ball's going to drop, and knowing that you can't just control the ball and look up and think, where's my pass, because there's a kid in your face and tackling you. So you've got to be looking with your head up as that kid's coming in, and knowing what you're going to do in your away. And listen, you can do all that with football. It's not a problem. You go and play 11 aside, and I'm sure you can do it all. But you can't do it in that small, intense little space, like I say, that 3-on-3 gives you. Like, you can't do that on 11 aside pitch or 6 aside pitch or whatever they're going to play. Like, it just becomes so intensified that you've got to adapt and overcome, like he did at Manchester City in the training sessions, like he did at the 3v3, until the point where, like I say, he was the best at your grassroots little session on a Friday night, and then that homework sort of stage just went like off the wall then, because I started saying, right, you're going to play on your bad foot, and I practiced for hours on end doing this, that and the other on his bad foot, and again there was cones involved with myself, you know, and I practiced and he would never go into training and go and play on his bad foot. And I had coach at City say to me, I think he's great with his wrong foot and all that, and I said, well, he's not. I said, he's like, he looks like a left-footed player using his right foot, you know what I mean? And just because he makes a pass doesn't mean it's great.
I think you look at left-footed players, and I've done some work on this a few years back, just because I'm left-footer. So when I've done my level 2, I looked at left-footers, and it's mad to stat like the 10% of the world are left-footed.
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's all it is.
Yes, really low.
Wow.
But then you look at the percentage of the best players in the world, right? We're almost half are left-footed.
Oui.
So,
Wait.
What? Yeah. Yeah. Put myself in the top 11%.
Right.
But we wired up differently. Our brains are different, and you always have like left-handed guitarists, left-handed artists. There's high proportion of these creative industries are left-handed people compared to armourers in the overall population. So we have this creative side, but then I also do think we wired up, because you see a right-footed player use the left, all right, but you look at left-footed players and you go, they're all left foot, that's left foot only.
Yeah.
I think part is let's say that nurture and how we wire you, but then also generally when you were a kid and you're left footed, and when I was coming up, I was the only left footer in my team. So 100% you go and play left mid.
Yeah.
You get pigeonholed, right? Because when you're a lefty, you go and play there, and you got to go and beat players, and that's true. That's what every other lefty have done.
Yeah.
I remember going to South America years ago, and when they see me, left foot, you're a good player. I was like, never seen me play yet, right? But they just assume you're left-footed, you're going to be this type of player. So when George then come, and I remember it really well, watching him start on his right foot, and for a lot of kids, they'll try and use the other foot sometimes, but when you forced him, basically, to use it, that's all you can do. It's not, try and use it when you can. It's like, no, this session, right, you've got enough sessions you can do all your other stuff in, right, but this session is just for your right foot. And I remember watching him to start with, and he's gangly, and he has this bent knee, and you look like he's using his wrong foot. Right? But then again, just that repetition within the hour, you see him get better, and he gets that confidence.
And I learned from it as well, because I said, right, don't touch the ball with your right foot, with your left foot, sorry, and just right foot only, right. And you can't play football like that, it's not realistic. So, like now, if I ever tell him to play football with his bad foot, which I still do on a weekly basis, I say 80-20. So it's things like, so you'll receive the ball on your right and push it out, and you might get a roll on, and it'll be on your left foot and bump finish. Do you know what I mean? So just finish that movement off, or if someone passes it to your left, then can you manipulate it quickly on your right and go? But like you need that initial first touch on your left, or that initial fit at that ending, like end product where you're finishing on your left foot. So you have got to do. I think I learned from that and thought, right, well, yeah, you can't do 100% on your bad foot. So you've got to go 80-20, say, and that's what. And he does sessions now. Like I say, he went from the point of being sort of robotic in everything he done, and just a typical, like, you look at him and go, oh, he's a born defender, no doubt about it. And then that's where I wanted him to change, and that's why he played at a low level in the 3v3, and it just got him so much more fluid and throwing skills in, and get kids to do skills from a young age, get them confident in it, but against players, and I don't like him overdoing things, and like if there's an empty net to be scored in, they should put it in, and don't be doing step overs in front of them. But he had that flow, that fluid rhythm where you can step and go, which he never had, and it was just because you learn to do it as an initial like thought in your brain. Just goes, right, the second I'm running to this ball, I've got to be like moving away from these perimeters because someone's going to come in and clatter me, and like that's what he just improved on it as like, right, second nature to him now. He's got that movement and that for every time he gets the ball.
And that period, so using his other foot, it's probably been now like it's a full season, hasn't it, really?
Oh,
Start of last season, he come in, and then by the end, people were saying, "Oh, who's that kid?" And oh, he's George. He plays for City. You know, oh yeah, I can tell. And I go, but he's left-footed as well. And they go, what? I go, yeah, he comes here back on his right foot.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow. So you couldn't notice it at all. Like, you know, well, I was playing here last night with Lewis, and a ball come on my right foot, and it was like just an absolute swinger.
Yeah.
Like, he could have gone anywhere.
I play head tennis with George, and he beats me.
Oh.
Like, genuinely beats me.
He can just go both ways.
And yeah, if I said, right, we'll just use our bad feet, he'd slaughter me.
It's a great time for a little advert there. Because who can go tennis there?
Yeah.
But no, to say that, and I don't think enough kids get that chance to do that. Because if you ask a kid, you know, they don't really know what they want to do. They need that guidance. But you know, whether it's in the academy setting or in grassroots, I don't think they don't get time. It's like, well, you can't spend months on your weak foot because we've got a game on Saturday. You know, and the focus is that short term. Whereas, you know, you look at some of the European models, and we speak about this all the time, and it'll come up later on about, you know, this development of a player. You know, not making the best player for this weekend. Got to win this game. It's like, okay, no one getting paid as a best 7-year-old in the country. It's who the best 18-year-olds are. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
But just to say, I know we're talking a lot of the top end stuff, but you know, kids that them younger age groups, when they're the golden sponge, and a lot of stuff that I've learned is like off Pete Sturgis and off some coaches at Man United, because when I started, I didn't have a clue. But you learn off other people, and you look at, you know, what they're trying to do now and what European models do, and they're all both footed, and they all learn, you know, when they start with both.
Yeah.
You know, Belgium then, you know, De Bruyne. You wouldn't know what.
Well, that was the academy one. That was is it Genk, where they had, I think it's Carrasco, Trossard, De Bruyne, and like they're all notoriously brilliant on the bad foot. Do you know what I mean? And it's like Trossard's scored a hat-trick at Anfield on his bad foot.
And I think with that, and I've seen videos, and so when we had the nationals on the other week, and I give everyone those skill balls, the ball and a string. 100% one of my best tools that I absolutely love for kids, because one, they can do it anywhere, you know, walking to school, round the house, you know, not smashing balls. I know what my missus is like when Lewis was young, get that ball out of the living room and stuff. So, but with this ball and string, you can do it anywhere, and it's easy to practice on your bad foot. And I don't call it, I'm just sitting there, but I try not to call it bad foot. I always try and call it your other foot, because you don't want a kid to say, well, it's my bad foot. That it's like, well, it's not bad, it's just not better than that one. So you just got to, you know, work with it, just that language you use. But then ball and the strings, that academy use it all the time, right? And it's just dead simple. You can use both feet. It's coming back to you. If you mess up, it's still coming back. It's not, you know, flying off everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just a simple tool what players can do. But again, because it's not real football, it's a bit of a gimmick, isn't it?
I'm one of them people. Yeah. I'm one of them people. I think, like, bouncy castles on the side of the pitch, or string on your ball. Like, I am one of them. I'm like 100%. Just, and like you say, I know I'm talking about George at like his level, and like to be fair, you know, he's elite level in the country. They've got a great academy, and they go around and they beat a lot of teams. And even he won the nationals at 3v3 at St George's Park the other day. But like that can be done. Like the progression can be done by anyone. Like, so, I mean, I looked at what a grassroots kid from the Middleton lads team who used to be on George's, and I've not seen him for ages. And I went, wow, he's come on brilliant. And that's that coach who was saying, oh, there's your homework in training and in games. and like giving him specific drills to do. And like when I watched him, I thought, wow, but he's brilliant. He's come on so much, and he was terrible at times on the grassroots team, absolutely terrible. And I tried to coach him for it, but he just probably wasn't there, like mentally yet. You know what I mean? Like I was saying about George, you know, just not being there at first and just crying on a pitch. You just think, right, well, he's just not ready. And the young lad was probably getting pushed to be in this team, being there, and probably wasn't ready for it. And now he's sort of, his dad said to me, he said, oh, he's changed his attitude. He's like, can't wait to go training. He's on it. He listens and like, you know, dials in and wants to learn. Whereas when I had him, he said, oh, he's class clowning at school and he's just not mentally prepared yet. So
and say every kid's different, and we try and, you know, pigeonhole them. And again, we probably had this conversation loads of times already on what we speak about stuff,
Yeah.
because we do. But you know, if as a coach you can, the kid's not learning, right? I would say, well, it's not the kid's fault. It's your approach to learning, to coaching in. And you might have this one method and it works for 90%, but it's like, well, it's not working for that kid. You know, almost what can you change? You know, and I say this all the time when kids get let go from academies, and then, you know, they can't get around the pitch, they're not fast enough, they're not big enough. I'm like, well, what have you done as a coach to help that? Don't put it on them.
yeah,
You're there as a coach.
I think
Should feel embarrassed if
at such a young age. I know you're saying such a young age. I think a lot of the direction comes from home, because I've got kids who come to me now on like in sessions, and I think, like, I'm not going to be able to teach you anything because you don't want to know you get away with murder at home, and you come to training and sort of, oh, well, I can get away with murder and not really pay attention, not really listen. So you have got to, you know, it's not all down to the coach, but, you know, it comes from home. But then you've got to be stern enough with as a coach to not let them get away with that. But you've also got to make it fun. But a massive point on like how kids will become better, it is how many times a week do you take it? No one's gonna improve massively at anything if you give them an hour a week. And like, not necessarily football. You can do every different type of format of football. You can go kick air and go on trampolines. Like I say, I think most young kids, the best ones are just the ones with the best balance. Like, it's attitude and balance.
And they'll be the ones who you look into will go, they'll be out playing on the bike, then, you know, they'll have a park, then that parents, you know, take them to, they'll probably go swimming, you know, and little things like that, like say, where they'll have all these other things that they do, not just that 1 hour of football a week. That all adds up to these being, you know, having them better ABCs to start with.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later on, like the new the foundation age and the new project the FA doing the 2v2, and we'll cover it more. But a lot of the games are doing that. It's nothing to do with football.
Yeah.
It's, you know, playing with the beanbags and
100%.
jumping over skills and all
100%.
sorts. So back to then, let's say that we always go off topic. Go dark. Still we do this video, right? George then come, you're then watching him, seeing him improve, using his other foot, taking that into his games. So, you know, just getting just better and better all the time. I approached you then with, we were growing as a company, I needed more staff. Asked you then, did you want the job as T-boy to start with? So now move up into, say, just this is your part. Move it up into what you're doing now. What's your role now within 3v3 UK? What have you done then last few months? How have you found it?
Yeah, so when you'd asked me, I thought, like, I didn't think, I just said yeah straight away. Just because, like I say, from what it's done for my son. I mean, I'll throw this little story in of when I phoned you up one night and I just said, oh, thanks. And he was like, what for? And I said, just with George. I said, what we've done there regarding, you know, his wrong foot and his body movement and just his quickness of thought, all to do with 3v3. You know, just away from those big pitch games what we play. You know, he went out and had an absolute stormer, and so many of the traits and everything that was like embodied how good he was in that game come from 3v3. So I did phone you up and just say thank you. He said, what for? And I was like, just for what you've done for George. And it was like, we ended up having an hour-long conversation about it. But so you obviously, you knew I was sort of invested in it, and when you've asked, I just said I'd love to get involved. I mean, I've